Your voice can change your life. Now, seriously, think about it. Your voice might be the one thing that opens every door that you've been knocking on. But here's the real question. In a world full of celebrity voices, AI voices, clone speech, digital overlords, possibly aliens, is there still room for you? For those of you that are watching the video, you can see that I got my coffee and it's really good. And I have to just sip on it throughout this because this is kind of like my regroup morning coffee shenanigans event podcast thing that I make. But is there still room for you? And the question is, I'll give you the answer. Yes, there is still room for you. But the question is, how much room are you going to take? What are you selling? What are you talking about? What do you have to say? So we'll get right at it, But I used to coach basketball. I coached my brother's team for a couple years, coached 7th and 8th graders, boys basketball. And then I filled in a little bit at the high school level as well. Not that much, but for spring basketball. No, in-season teams or anything like that. It was more like they're going to a tournament, they need a volunteer coach. That was me. But when I used to play basketball, and what I tried to instill in these boys was the most powerful, skill in the game is communication. It's using your voice. This voice can make you bigger. This voice can get steals and stop shots and intercept passes. This voice it can get into the head of your opponent if you're really good at talking trash and you're not being, I'm not going to condone any severe trash talking, but I'm going to definitely say that you should do a little bit of it. But regardless, the voice is important. The voice gets you on a string with your teammates, and that's how you win basketball games if everybody is playing as a team. So that's just a little side note I wanted to share that, your voice is a tool, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get into it. I'm Blake Wright. This is the Right Play podcast, episode 3. We're talking a little bit about breaking into voice acting in 2025. So it's a wild world, and there's a lot of genres and a lot of subcategories of voice acting out there, and it's surprisingly profitable, still even in 2025. Now, I will start this whole thing off by saying this. Voice acting is competitive, extremely competitive, maybe more so than regular acting. Got to silence the phone. I'm not going back to film this either. So if you heard that, great. But voice acting is competitive. So you can't take it personal. You can't take the losses personal and, getting a call back, personal. But it's a skill. You can build it up over time. So, and it doesn't matter if you have a great voice. It's great. If somebody's told you got a great voice, or if you're an actor like myself, a creative, there's voices needed for so much. You need to be able to speak well. You don't need to necessarily have a great voice or an avant-garde voice, but you need to have some sort of thing and confidence when you speak, even if you're playing a character that's kind of meek, But let's get into it. Beat 1. The reality of the industry in 2025. So, the elephant in the room, AI. What's it going to do? Voice cloning is real. Big brands are using it. 500,000 YouTube channels are using it. Snapchat's using it. it's annoying watching. I don't know if y'all have seen. Maybe it's just me, but it's like a video of like The Rock or Matthew McConaughey or something, and it's like clearly a AI script and totally fake, and they try to reel you in with a clip of them and or Denzel Washington. That's the most recent one I've seen. And you just like, man, this ain't even them, you know. And they're trying to sell something. They're trying to sell a motivational video, trying to sell you those ideas and get you to subscribe to their channel so that they can make money not doing really anything. So good on them, but it's cheap content anyway. Voice cloning is real though, and big brands are using it. Everyone, you know, from their brother to their mother's using it. But you know what's still beating AI every single day? Authenticity, emotional nuance, human timing. Things you can't fake, things you can't calculate, things you cannot, you know, that make you scratch your head. You know, it's just like watching a really bad magician. You know, you're like, or watching a movie and you're like, you know, some things you can't fake. And I do believe AI is moving in an incredible direction. And I think that it's going to be an amazing tool for humanity. And, you know, I hope that it helps create art moving forward. And I definitely think it will, but it's not going to take away the human touch. Unless we just get totally desensitized from human experience more and more, then that's a conversation for another time. But this isn't my conspiracy theory channel. This is me talking about acting. So, but I do think it's going to be helpful, and I don't think it's there yet. So I still think there's some things you can't fake, and things that are fake don't necessarily fully connect. They connect on some level, but not at the level that works all the time. So voice acting is still a $20 billion industry today. That's up $7 billion from 15 years ago. Voiceover isn't everything, and that's the kicker. It's not just cartoons and commercials. Look at today. There's audiobooks, e-learning, documentaries, YouTube explainers, GPS voices, museum voices, podcasts, TikToks, corporate videos, meditation apps, kids' toys. You know, I mean, there is voiceover in so much stuff. Why can't it be your voice? Well, it can be. You just got to get started. This is a business in a lot of ways. So one thing, tip number, you know, we're going into this first tip of this category, but the big thing to remember is $20 billion industry and 80% of the market is narration. That's the real bread and butter of this industry. There's a lot of it, and you never need to show your face, ever. That ain't bad. So 80% of the market is narration, ladies and gentlemen. $20 billion. All right, we're going into beat number 2. What do you need to get started? What do you need? Don't overcomplicate it, people. You need a $20,000 studio. You need a great booking agent. And no, you don't need any of that. You don't even need a $2,000 mic. You need a quiet space, a good setup. You can start with just a USB mic. You know, you can get something good around $200 to $300. I use a Shure. If that's what it's pronounced, I don't even know if it's pronounced, but I use this. And yeah, you just need a clean recording setup and a mindset shift. You need to be your own boss. That's all you need to get started with. You have great mic capabilities and a great computer setup, and that could take your game to the next level. Great. But don't have the excuses. You have enough to just begin right now. Don't do it off your phone. Don't do it off your internal computer. You do need more than that. But you can do it just with a few little upgrades that cost you probably less than $500. So think of it that way. So just remember this. You can make money in your pajamas while you're on vacation, early in the morning, late at night, in the heart of the day, if you have your gear with you. And boom, your gear is tax deductible. And maybe if you're working on vacation, you can write it off. I'm not an accountant, so don't quote me on that, but I think you might be able to write off a little bit of it if you're working. So who knows? So beat number 3. Where is the work actually? Well, the work is all over. You don't have to move to LA or New York or Atlanta. You don't have to move to like necessarily a huge market like a traditional actor would. With voiceover, you can avoid the big cities. You can live where you want. It's, I think, a smart move. Now, granted, I've done one audiobook and a few radio ads. That's what I've done at this point. So I'm not the, Academy Award winner of voice acting, but, these are just my opinions. So I think that if you're going to treat this as a business, you target regional commercials, mid-sized towns around 50 to 60,000, maybe, under 250,000 at most. Get clients there. They typically probably don't have a voice actor working for those businesses, but look up towns around 500,000 or less, whatever. I'm giving you a range, and find companies that might need e-learning done, training videos, internal videos done, explainers, and then just go on LinkedIn, message the creative directors and ad agencies in that area, and offer a free sample. Be like, oh, look, this is my work. I'll do a 30-second thing for you for free. You could use LinkedIn, and I would try to get 100 leads. Find 100 leads, and then you're at it. Keep going. But in the meantime, too, while you're waiting for those leads to hit, set up on voices.com, ACX, Voice Bunny, Voice 123, and they're pay to play, but you're renting storefront. That's how you got to look at it. Like I am on Backstage. I'm on Actors Access and, casting networks and other casting sites. I'm literally, you're putting yourself out there to get auditions. You have a profile set up, The middleman business in entertainment is a real thing. And, that's just part of the game. Don't hate it, Just think of it like, okay, I'm renting a storefront. I'm putting up an ad in the newspaper. You got to think of it as a business decision. And guess what? It's also a write-off. It's an expense. So don't think of it as not money well spent. So beat number 4, what are brands really listening for? Here's the truth. People don't just hire for sound. They hire you for how your voice makes them feel. So you got to ask yourself some questions about that. You got to do some, analysis. Maybe get a friend that is a creative, that that is an actor or a director, or somebody that is that works for an ad agency, or somebody that works in marketing that you went to college with, or whatever, just to find, a little bit of input on this. So I can give you a few little tips. You can train your voice. You have a plethora of resources on YouTube. You don't need to go to acting school to learn all the vocal warm-ups. I would try to do some of the stuff that we learned in college, just working on monologues, repetition with the Meisner technique, and trying to work on the voice, whether it's singing lessons or exploring it and getting it deeper, getting it louder, getting it lighter, whatever it is. It's goofy, but it's just part of it. Your voice is an instrument. And we all sit at a natural register, but we all have the capability of going lower and going higher. So, your voice has texture, it has soul. Just remember that. So I'll give you a tip here for delivering and acting. Easy one. Well, aside from working on pitch variety, smile. Smile when you deliver some of your, you know. This is Blake for Blake's Blends Coffee. And, it just creates a little bit different energy and can get you flipped slightly. And, ask the questions. Who am I talking to? What am I saying? Where am I? And make some of them up. Of course, you're in your comfort of your home in your, Dunkin' Donuts pajamas, but am I on the beach as I'm giving this? It doesn't matter. Because they'll tell you eventually, but when you're doing the auditions, and I'm talking to somebody I really want them to, drink this margarita so we can go dance, and that's why I'm selling Jose Cuervo, like whatever it could be. You got to create a scenario, and that's how you do it. That's how you go. Then you dive in more to what's your brand as you get solid in this. Because it is a business. It's a very commercialized industry. And if you really want to invest the next step further, aside from singing lessons and voice lessons, you can learn different dialects, or you can double down on your New England Maine accent and call people bub at the grocery store and live the character. I'm just messing with you. But you can just have fun with it. You can see there's so many different avenues that you can grow with it. And, the final takeaway from this section is you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be you. You need to be believable. And real wins in the end. So that's what I will say about that. So I want to ask, has anyone done any of these methods that's watching or listening to this? If so, put it in the comments section. I'd love to hear about it. But yeah, I just want to reiterate one big takeaway. This is a Hermosi thing. Give away a free job. Give away 5 till you build your portfolio up. You got a mic, can do it. Give away. Just get a little bit. It will return tenfold. That's the truth. Until you have something to go and sell to these people, you might as well give them give them a chocolate bar, give them a reason to want to work with you. When I was doing sales, one of the tips that this place I used to work for would say, when you're leaving a business card, leave some chocolate too, leave a little thing. Don't leave just without something sweet. So give them something, and hopefully you can grow your business, and you can do this for, years. And all you need is your laptop, which you already own, and probably all you need is your iPhone and a really good mic like this one. You can get something like this for around $300. So yeah, that's what you do. And think this, when you start really growing in this business, make sure that you get advertising. And then make sure if you get jobs that are in the really good pay range, you book out studio time. By that point, you will be there, and you will be practiced and versed, and you will crush it. And that's just things. So, but think they are all expenses, which means you can write them off if you are a voice actor in the eyes of the IRS. So don't skimp. And I think that mentorship and coaching goes a long way as well. We are all in need of, education in our craft. And, eventually you get to the point where you learn some stuff and you go and run a little bit, walk, run, crawl, whatever the order is. I don't know. I'm still drinking my coffee and waking up, but you get the point. Take a little bit, study, go and apply it. I like doing that. I like staying consistent in some forms of education for my own personal discipline. But yeah, think of all these things as investing in yourself and make yourself the best you can be. Simple as that. So I just want to go now to the closing section, and I'll start it off with this idea that creativity is currency. We are in a world where there is a bunch of content, but we're not in a world where there's a lot of amazing creative things anymore. And we can get all philosophical and say that everything comes from somewhere else. True. But don't talk yourself out of the game because there's just so much and you don't think that you're going to swim. Cream rises to the top. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And some people can churn out content all they want. Some people can make stuff that's a little bit more soulful. Some people can make stuff that's, an album once every 4 years. George Lucas made Star Wars, during the time, 3-year period. Lord of the Rings, vice versa. They're more than a commercialized product, even though they are. You've got to look at things as art, not content, and then you will find success in it until the currency comes in. So we're living in a time where creativity is currency, and voice acting is one of the most accessible, remote-friendly, and lucrative ways to get in the game today. And don't just mimic. But if you have caught yourself making funny voices, or if you're like me and trying to make impressions of famous people throughout the years, and you're there and you're like, I can do that. You're probably right. You probably can do that. So all you got to do is this: make the right play. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I am out for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, follow, leave a rating, whatever you want to do. I appreciate it all. And until next time, keep dreaming, keep doing, and keep playing right. Peace.